Good morning, students. In a previous class, we have studied about the powers of Prime Minister and President. We have started with this political executive also we have studied about, and then we have studied about political executives. That political executives are the executives who are elected by the people of the for a time period, and they take major decisions. And for permanent executives, they are appointed for the long term and they are called as civil servants. Then we have also studied about how the prime minister is appointed. The president appoints the leader of the majority party or the coalition of the party, and that commands the majority in the Lok Sabha, and he is chosen as a prime minister. Then we have further seen that in the cases that president appoints as prime minister the person who most likely to secure the majority support in the house. When the prime minister, no single party or alliance gets the majority, in that case the president appoints the person who likely to secure the majority support in the house. Then we have further seen that how the other ministers are appointed. They are also appointed by the president on the advice of the prime minister. Then the ministers are usually chosen from the party or the coalition that has the majority in Lok Sabha, and the prime minister has a free hand to choose ministers as long as they are the members of the parliament. Then further we have seen about the Council of Ministers, that it is the official name of the body that includes all the ministers, usually 60 to 80. Then in this lesson about cabinet ministers also, that they usually represent the Council of Ministers, and it is the inner ring of the Council of Ministers which has 20 ministers. And this cabinet ministers are usually the top level leaders of the ruling party. Then we have seen about uh, the ministers of the state, which are having the independent charge, and they usually are in charge of smaller ministries. They attend cabinet meetings, and only they attend the cabinet meetings when they are specially invited. Then there are ministers of state also. These ministers are attached to and are required to assist the cabinet ministers. Then every ministry has secretaries also, which provide the necessary background or information to the ministers to take the decision. Then the president chairs the cabinet meetings. This we have read about in the powers of the prime minister. So the prime minister chairs the cabinet meeting and is the most powerful within the cabinet. So within the cabinet, prime minister is more powerful. Then the limitation of prime minister of the coalition is that he has to heed the view of, he has to agree to the views of coalition partners. He has to listen to the views of coalition partners also, and other parties also, on those who support or survival of the ruling party totally depends upon. Then the presidential form of government we have seen in a paragraph here, that what is presidential form of government. The presidential form of government is a system of government where president is both the head of the government and the head of the state, and thus we see that he has immense powers. And example we have seen, the USA is the country which has this type of government, that is the where presidential form of government is there. Then further about president, we have seen that the president of India is the head of the state and exercises only the nominal powers. It means president only exercises the nominal power, but the real head is the prime minister. Nominal only, we can say that formal or having no real powers. Clear? Then further we have seen about that in India we have the president in India is the head of the state and exercises only the normal power, and he also supervises the overall functioning of the political institution in a country. Now, today we are going to read about the last topic of this lesson is judiciary. So we are going to read about judiciary. In this, we will read about The judiciary as an independent institution which settles dispute between citizens of the country, citizens and government, two or more state governments, even it settled disputes between the government at union and state level. Then we will further read in this about the courts in India, that is Supreme Court, High Court, and District Court, and then powers and function of judiciary in the end. So now in detail we are going to read about it. Now let us return to the final time to the story of office memorandum that we started with. This time, let us not recall the story, but imagine how different the story could have been. Remember, the story came to a satisfactory end because the Supreme Court gave the verdict that was accepted by the everyone. And what did Supreme Court give the verdict, give the decision that some changes to be brought in that office memorandum, and thus Supreme Court gave a verdict that was accepted to everyone. Now imagine what would have happened in the following situation. Now, if there was nothing like Supreme Court in the country, what would happen? The office memorandum would have passed like that only, without the consideration of the judiciary, or we can say without the consideration of the court. Then, even if there was a Supreme Court, if it had no power to judge actions of the government, then also this office memorandum would have passed. And even if it had the power, if no one trusted the Supreme Court to give the fair verdict. The third one is that in case if uh, Supreme Court was present and no trust is given in the Supreme Court, then definitely the verdict, the advice which was given by the Supreme Court would not have been followed by the government. Then, lastly, even if it gave a fair judgment, if those who appealed against the government order did not accept the judgment, if a fair judgment would have been given, but those who were against this office memorandum, they would not at all accept this office memorandum like that only, uh, how it was created in the government. Then this is why an independent and powerful judiciary is considered essential for all democracy, and that is why we say that it is important for the judiciary system for the democracies. Now, what is judiciary? Now, judiciary is an institution empowered to administer justice and provide a mechanism, a system for the resolution of legal disputes. Any legal disputes arises, then there is a justice provider, that is judiciary, to provide the resolution or the solution to any legal disputes. Then all the courts in the country are collectively referred to as judiciary. Now all the courts, Supreme Court, High Court, District Court, all the courts are together referred to as judiciary. Now judiciary is considered essential for democracies. All the courts at different levels in the country put together are called as judiciary. You can underline also, judiciary is considered as an essential in democracy, and all the courts at different levels in the country are put together under the judiciary. Now, Indian judiciary consists of a Supreme Court for the entire nation. For the entire nation, Supreme Court is there. Then High Court is the in the state. For the entire nation, Supreme Court is there. For the states, High Court is there. And district courts and the courts at the local levels are also present at the local level. Now, India has an integrated judiciary. Integrated judiciary means unified judiciary system in which all the courts are unified. It means that the Supreme Court controls the judicial administration in the country, and its decisions are binding on all the other courts of the country. That means the we can say that Indian judiciary is in integrated judiciary. How that once a decision is given by the Supreme Court, it has to be followed, and it is means it has to be concerned with uh, all the other courts, means high court, courts at the local levels, whether it is district or local courts, all had to follow the decision given by the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court order is the final decision, and every other court is to be has to follow the same. Now, it can take up any dispute between citizen of a country. Now between any dispute is between the citizens of the country, then it can go to the Supreme Court. First you can go to the district court or the local courts, lower courts, then to the high court, and then also if you are not satisfied, then you can concern with Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decision will be the final decision to resolve your disputes between citizens of the country. The same thing between citizens and the government. If any disputes uh, arises between the citizen and the government, then also it is sought out uh, by different courts. And if at all any party is not satisfied with the decision of high court or the lower court, they can appeal to the Supreme Court, and that whatever decision taken by the Supreme Court, both the parties had to follow the same. Next, between the two or more state governments, and now two and more state government also, if any disputes arises, then also it has to be considered under different courts, and final decision will be taken by the Supreme Court. Then lastly, between governments at union and state level. Now between different governments, if any disputes arises between the union or state level, then also it is sorted out by the Supreme Court's final decision. Now, it is the highest court of appeal in civil and criminal cases. Supreme Court is the highest court of appeal in civil and criminal cases, whether they are civil cases, whether they are criminal cases, means any murder, uh, theft, or like that. It is considered in the criminal cases. And civil cases, any land disputes are there, any family disputes are there, they are called as civil services. Domestic violence is there, they come under civil cases, and they are all sorted out in the Supreme Court also. It can hear appeals against the decision of the High Court. So Supreme Court has the right to hear the appeals against the decision of the High Court. Means whatever High Court have decided, whatever decision the High Court has given in particular case, if any party is not uh, means and is does not agree on that particular decision of the High Court, then they can appeal to the Supreme Court. But the final decision of the Supreme Court should have to be followed by both the parties. So Supreme Court is the highest court of appeal in the civil as well as criminal cases. Now, independence of judiciary means that it is not under the control of the legislature or the executive. Now, what does the word independent of judiciary means? Independence. We always say, and we also listen also, that are in India we have the independent judiciary. Now, what does really the independent judiciary means? Independent judiciary means that the our judiciary is not under the control of any of the highest authorities, neither legislature nor executive nor any other personal uh, means individual or anybody. So whatever decisions our judiciary takes, it is independent, and it does not means concern with anybody, and the final decision is taken without having any hesitation to give the this decision in any case. The judges do not act on the direction of the government or according to the wishes of the party in power. So, whatever decisions the judges of the Supreme Court of the courts give, their decision is final. They are not means under any pressure of the government, neither of the government nor of any political party, to give any decision in their favor, means in favor of any government or in favor of any political party. But our judiciary is independent, not under any control of any government, neither any leader, no legislature control is there, no executive control is there. Whatever decisions are taken in judiciary, they are independent, they are free, and nobody interferes in the decision making. Then that is why all modern democracies have the court that are independent of legislature and executive. India has achieved this. Now the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court are appointed by the president. Now who appoints the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court? They are appointed by the president on the advice of the prime minister. Again, here also the president appoints the judges of the Supreme Court and High Court, but on the advice of the Prime Minister and in consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So you can underline this. In practice, it now means that the senior judges of the Supreme Court select the new judges of the Supreme Court and High Court. So, whosoever is the senior judge, they are having the power to appoint or to select the new judges, newcomers. There is very little scope for interference by the political executive. That is, very little interference by the political executive. Political executives are the political leaders. The senior most judge of the Supreme Court is usually appointed by the Chief Justice. You can underline this also. The senior most judge of the Supreme Court is appointed by the Chief Justice. Once a person is appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court or the High Court, it is nearly impossible to remove him. So now it is also seen that once any judge is appointed in Supreme Court or the High Court, then we say that it is impossible to remove them. Then it is as difficult as removing a president of India. So it is very difficult to remove once any judge is appointed in the Supreme Court or the High Court, and it is very difficult as removing of the president of India also. The judge can be removed only by the impeachment motion. Now, only a thing which can remove a judge from his position is through impeachment motion passed separately by two-third members of the two houses of the parliament. So this is the way the judge can be removed. That is, you can underline this, a judge can be removed only by the impeachment motion. Now, what is this impeachment motion? Impeachment motion is a charge. The word impeachment itself means the charge of misconduct made against the holder of the public office. Here it is the judge. So a charge of misconduct can be made, and the judge can be removed only by the impeachment motion passed separately by the two-third members of the two houses. This is also essential that this impeachment motion, two-third members, the surety of two-third members of the two houses of the parliament should be there to remove a judge. Then it has never happened in the history of Indian democracy like this, such a way the judge is removed. The judiciary in India is also one of the most powerful in the world. So judiciary in India is also most powerful in the world. The Supreme Court and the High Court have the power to interrupt the uh, sorry, the Supreme Court and the High Court have the power to interpret the constitution of the country. Means any changes to be made, it can interpret the constitution. They can declare invalid any law of legislature or the action of the executive. So if any law or any action of the executive of the government is means dangerous for the progress of the country or for any citizen, then uh, court then the court has the right to declare that particular law as invalid. Then they can declare invalid any law of legislature or the actions of executive, whether at the union level or the state level, if they find such a law or action against the constitution. So if any law is passed against the constitution at either at union level or state level, that law can be declared invalid by the Supreme Court and the High Court. Then thus they can determine the constitutional validity of any legislation or action of the executive in the country when it is challenged before them. So they can determine the constitutional validity, means the validness of the constitution, means any law which is passed, it is valid for the constitution or not, and any legislation or action of the executive of the country when it is challenged before them. So if any law is passed by legislation or executive of the country, means by the government, and it is uh, means we can say harmful for the constitution, it goes against the uh, constitution rules and regulations, then that law can be considered as invalid, and this is known as judicial review. And this is known as judicial review, means reconsideration for that particular law which is passed, to reconsider again. The Supreme Court of India has also ruled that the core or the basic principles of constitution can be changed by the parliament. Another thing is that the Supreme Court of India has also said that the core or the basic principle, what are the basic principles of the that freedoms are given, uh, directive principles are given, so all those or the basic principles of the constitution cannot be changed by the parliament. Then the powers and the independence of Indian judiciary all allow it to act as a guardian of the fundamental rights. So the powers and independence of Indian judiciary, as we say that are in India, we have an independent judiciary. That is why it allows to act as a guardian of fundamental rights. That means it is a protective, we can say a type of shell for the fundamental rights. It protects our fundamental rights. We shall see in the next chapter that the citizens have the right to approach the courts. Now, citizens also have the right to approach to the courts to seek remedy in case of any violation of their rights. If any citizen thinks that his or her right is violated by any other, by the government or any other citizen, then they can seek remedy. Seek remedy means ask for the solution or the treatment in that case. And in recent years, the courts have given several judgments and directives to protect public interest and human right. So several decisions have been given by the courts uh, to protect the fundamental rights, to protect the interests of the citizens. Anyone can approach the court if public interest is hurt by the actions of the government. So this is also said that anyone, whether rich or poor, whether in government or non-government, non-official person, anybody can approach to the government if he thinks his public interest is hurt in any case, even if his public interest is hurt by the government, then also he can approach or she can approach the government. This is called public interest litigation. Now, another thing, to approach the government easily, to approach the courts easily, public interest litigation is there. Now, the courts intervene to prevent the misuse of the government power to make the decision. Now, the courts interfere to prevent the misuse of the government's power, so that if any government which is there, which is the ruling government is there, and the courts thinks that the government is misusing the power against any citizens and any right of the citizens or hindering any public interest, then they can check the malpractices, means the courts can check the malpractices means the illegal or improper behavior of the government. Here in this case the courts can check the illegal or improper behavior on the part of the public official, and that is why the judiciary enjoys the high level of confidence among the people. So I hope it is clear. These are the important terms which are given, you can read it. So in this we have read about the government, the three organs: legislature, executive, judiciary, how they act, and what all procedures are there to uh, means to give and to pass for any law. Now coming to the question answers in PDF form, will give you in the group also, and on student portal also I will upload it. You can go through that and you can complete the notebook work. In near future I will ask for the notebook assessment, so please keep the notebooks updated. Each and every lesson, at least NCRT questions you should complete in the notebook. Whatever lessons we have done till now, complete the NCRT questions of each and every lesson in the notebook, because notebook assessment will be also there. And after this I will start with the geography lesson. Okay, geography, we'll start with the geography. One climate lesson in geography, climate, and another natural vegetation and wildlife is remaining. So we will start first with the natural vegetation and wildlife. It is little easy chapter, so we will start with natural vegetation and wildlife of geography. Okay, and this question answers first, you can mark that if you are elected by as a president of India, which of the following decisions can you take on your own? C is the correct answer. C, asks for recommendations of the bill passed by both the houses. The next is, who among the following is the part of political executive? Home Minister. Again, C, Home Minister will be the answer. Which of the following statements about the judiciary is false? It is
A.
A. Every law passed by the parliament needs approval of the Supreme Court. Clear? So in this PDF I'm going to give you all the NCRT questions are there, plus extra questions are also there. If you want to go through them, go through them. But first and foremost thing is, whatever NCRT books matter is there, it will be considered as okay. Clear? So NCRT book matter, uh, NCRT questions should be done in the notebook, and extra question is just for your understanding, just for your knowledge. But before going to these extra questions, you should first concern the that book, NCRT book. Clear? Read the lessons. Till then, if any doubt also, you can ask me. That's all for today. Thank you.